You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda. And there's so much stuff going on. I was just sitting there looking at my calendar, and I don't know if you guys caught this, but I have had this fatal flaw with my calendar, which is I've been sticking things on with a sticky note, and periodically things flutter to the floor, and then it gets swept up and it's gone.
So depending on how much lamination is going on a certain date, all of a sudden the bottom half of it's the only thing you got, the top half falls off.
It may be. So I had to start inking things in. I was like, okay, you're not just on there on a tentative basis, you're inked in. But I got to looking at our travel, and so we're speaking at the.
You got a triple book, right? We're going to be in Kansas and Florida and Oklahoma at the same time.
We're everywhere. We really are. So we are. First, I'm speaking at the NRA ILA in Ohio. We're going to the Gun Rights Policy Conference. I'm going to the DC Project Match in Missouri. Let's see, what else do we have going on? There's something else in Texas. Oh, NRA. How could I forget NRA? Wowza. The Rod of Iron Freedom Festival is in October. Michigan, the Rick Ector event is in July. So I started to put all this stuff down because it was like, wowza, we're getting so much stuff. But if you, the audience, wants to catch up with us, we'll start rolling out a month in advance where we're going to be, what we're going to be doing, because some of this stuff is open to the public and available, and you can do it. Oh, and we're going to Arizona to go to Gunsight. That is also happening in October. So I think we're going to be in Texas, Pennsylvania, and Arizona all in the month of October. just saying. I'm pretty sure that there's not a free weekend in October right now.
It's that old join the Army and see the world thing?
Right. Yeah, the 2A Army. Oh, in September, we're going to be doing a Second Amendment, We the People Second Amendment rally in Washington, D.C. on the Capitol lawn. And so that is the 17th of September.
We're not going in any of the buildings or anything where you end up in the gulag or anything.
I don't believe that all buildings are gulag destinations any longer. I think that was only a specific day.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, well.
That would be good. I'm telling you. There is so much stuff. There's so much Second Amendment stuff happening, and there's so much states' rights Second Amendment things that are happening that, as you know, we have now 25 constitutional carry states. We also have a couple others that are poking at it, pushing at it, and trying their darndest to make it happen this year.
Right, well, and we're, 2 months away from the Supreme Court saying what's
Bruin
going on.
versus D.C.
So that may all of a sudden open a door that a lot of the
Bruin versus the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. That's the one.
So some of the states that aren't exactly gun friendly may not like hearing what they got to say.
Oh man, we're waiting to see. So our video producer has now got a new thing going on, and he is making it so if you are watching us in video, not just on radio, but in video, you can, if you tweet hashtag EOTT for Eye on the Target, then and make a comment, he will put it up on the screen here, and we may or may not comment on it depending on what it is or what we're in the middle of. But it is a perfect way to get some immediate interaction back and forth. So hashtag EOTT. That's going to be a magic EOTT that's doing other things for you, because the firearms legal protection also has a discount based on hashtag EOTT. So we're starting to work on that. So that'll be your initials. We'll make you a college sweatshirt that says EOTT.
EOT. I wasn't sure what that was about. Then you guys had to explain it to me. It's like,
EOT.
I'm a little bit thick, apparently. So.
Does that warrant a response?
I'm like, I'm looking at this.
What does that stand for? We've only been saying it since 2010. So 12 years. It's only taken you 12 years to connect.
And I'm catching on.
To connect the dots. There you go. Man. So somebody asked me the other day, what kind of training do you take? Do you do? Where do you go? And what do you do? You have a unique training plan because you train with a guy who travels all over the country and takes training, and then he comes back and tests it out on you.
Right. So we not only do shooting, but we do all kinds of other things. But it's funny because the other day we were working on footwork. So I had
So are we going to call you Fred Astaire?
That's what was funny because I thought it was something about I'll find out what I called it, but it was it was comical at the time.
It was comical. So he said something, and he thought he was funny. He was funny in his
the Fred Astaire shooting school, because he was having me. We were working with moving your feet behind you as you walked away, or shuffling with your feet crossing over in front of you.
Okay.
And so, I mean, in the old days, you moved one foot, say your left foot, then you slid your right foot up to it, and your left foot.
So you never crossed your feet.
Shuffled. Mm-hmm. And then now they're saying by picking your feet up and moving them so they're one in front of the other to move, you don't actually trip over your own feet, but you can move faster by picking your feet up than you can. And we also noticed that with your foot in front, you're much more stable than if your foot's in the back. You step on something that's not exactly right, you're kind of committed to it. And
okay.
So you take a better chance of falling down.
So you guys you spent 3 hours practicing. Actually, where do I put my feet?
He said it's the first there. I told him it was the Arthur Murray School.
Oh, got it.
Shooting technique was that's what it was. Was
Arthur Murray is dated just a little before. So he was the school. Fred Astaire was the dancer. There, just in clarification for all y'all.
That's what I said. We were at the Arthur Murray School of dance shooting technique or something, but it was all in working your feet without falling down, and what was faster, which was more convenient, which was more comfortable.
It's always good without falling down.
So we have to shuffle left and right and forward and backward and all that stuff, that cha-cha-cha and stuff. All while you're shooting your gun and doing other things, so that it's not just one learning to walk, you're learning to
all
do
that together.
4 or 5 things at the same time.
I'm telling you, the weather's starting to get nicer. Now I'm planning my range trips, but before, when it was 0 and you guys went and would sit there and clean your guns in the 0 weather, I'm tapping out.
That's what's funny is that we showed up the other day and it was like 54 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it went up to like 67 or something. I says, isn't it a little bit warm for it to be out there?
Right, because you guys come sun or rain or sleet or snow. It doesn't matter. You're there.
You don't know when you're going to get into a gunfight, and it may be below 0, or it may be in the rain, or it may be dark, or it may be daylight. You never know.
I get that, but I'm also, and you want to know your gear works, and I get that.
So do you know that your gear works at 14 below 0? Mine does.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in 2 foot of snow, and you can see that the last person that was up to the range was me a week ago, because that's the only footprints.
The only footprints were exactly at the cadence of where my feet are. Got it. Yeah, well, they're not mine. So it's that Reba McEntire song where, little sister don't, right? And the only footprints are not mine. Nope. You're not going to find my tiny little feet in the snow headed to.
That's the thing. We go out, we have fun. He travels and trains, and then he's on YouTube and everything else, and so sometimes he'll download 4 or 5 different videos, and then we'll work out a thing, and we try to do some of these to see how our times and results are compared to what the others are doing, and that. And
well, that is great. So One of our listeners, Mary, says that she's listening to us while she's at the gym, as if that's an exciting thing. You just keep working out there, Mary, because I'm going to eat a Snickers and watch you. We'll just say. So, but Mary's going to be joining us in Houston for the NRA annual conference. I am so excited about the NRA annual conference. I'm so excited about the fashion show.
She'll be the one that looks buff instead of like a M&M character like us, huh?
So, I tend to like to say that I'm just soft, fluffy, marshmallowy, not...
And I describe myself as Santa Claus, so...
Oh, I was going to say, because otherwise I'm going to say that you're the yellow M&M.
I'm the Santa Claus in the off-season.
You're the yellow M&M. That is indeed what you are. So, okay, so coming up today, we've got some news stories. Dick Heller filed a lawsuit against Washington, D.C., and they settled. He got money. So that was kind of cool. We're going to have Dianna Muller on because the DC Project had a new video. We'll be back.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit.
You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, the media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, so we are back. I am sitting here trying to figure out who I know in Cody, Wyoming. So if you're one of those people and you're on my Facebook, let me know because I have a need. We'll just say from there.
What's the countdown on retirement?
4 days. 4 days. Thursday is the day.
Everybody's retiring the same day you are, whether they are still working or not. They're all on that retirement train.
They are living vicariously through me. That is all there is to it. So, that's a T-shirt there. Pacific Northwest Woods. Common sense is not not so common. It really isn't. Common sense gun laws. It's not.
We were just, man is like, what are you going to talk about in history? I'm like, I don't know. We didn't think about it. You know what I think would be a good thing? It's historical, but yet it would be very popular today. Is a new rimfire cartridge that is bigger than the 22 that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
Something like, whether it's the old 32 or even it could be a weird size like a 30 or a 28 or something.
So why
like
do you think it would be so popular?
Well, a lot of
because
people
nobody can get primers.
Well, a lot of people don't reload anyhow.
Okay.
And if you can just buy ammo that you shoot it once and throw it away, so you don't have to worry about it. And then two, I think that some of the
is it cheaper to produce rimfire cartridges than it would be to produce centerfire?
It must be because of the fact that they don't charge nowhere near what they charge for centerfire stuff.
I just thought it was because it was micro-sized, not because there was actually...
I think some of it is because they just punch it out. Basically, they're just making an extra long primer out of the thing, and so they only got one punch out and then fill it with stuff and where they go. But I think that, like, some of the revolvers and stuff like that, if you had a little more power... I mean, when I was a kid, my grandfather shot a 25 rimfire for years, and... so you could get up into 80 grain bullets with the thing. Some of the others go up to 100, 125 grain bullets. So I think that even like a rimfire 38 may be something that would be popular, but I think that it's something smaller in that 25 to 30 caliber range would fit in the Ruger single 6 type guns. And
okay, because the 38, that just, since we know that the failure of rimfire stuff was that the rim got too thin and then bad things happened.
Right, but if you're only really loading it to like 380 to make, I mean, it ain't like you're making magnums. You just want something you can shoot stuff with.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that I use a gun that's obsolete for that never knew that they were shot with obsolete gun.
Okay, got it.
So
but in order for you to make a suggestion for a new caliber, running back through history, you'd have to interest somebody that running back through history and getting ready.
That, or you'd have to find someone who already has some type of a rimfire plant that isn't living up to its full potential, that could add something onto its line that would possibly be popular or whatever. But it's there's a lot of things that were back in the day, 25, 26, 27, 28 caliber stuff that we have long since stepped over and forgot about. So it's for everybody else, it's like 6.5, 7 millimeter, and 7.5. So there's a lot of those out there. They're just long
So do you
lost
think
after
that
World War
you
I.
can interest a gun company or an engineering guy?
I don't know, you just have to throw it out there till you find somebody else who's thinking, I was thinking the same thing, and then pretty soon they'll find somebody else who's like, I got a lot of money with really nothing to do with it, so I'm willing to try some of this.
Got a lot of money with nothing to do with it. Got it. See, I don't have a lot of people in my circle that have a lot of money without a lot of things to do with it.
But some people got money, but they want to try something different, and they're planning on getting the money back plus some. But it's it isn't in the normal circle of.
And then you could promise them, well, we'll name it after you. It could be a commemorative cartridge named after you or something.
And then the guy's name will be like Foots or something like that. So it sounds like your gun's a dud every time.
Oh yeah,
like
Bitter Boy.
Foots or something.
Bitter Boy, something like that. I'm just saying, yeah.
Yep. Poof.
Right. Have you ever noticed how there's dentists and doctors that are named things that like Dr. Foot and Dr. Quack and Dr. Hurt and
it doesn't matter when your mouth's all full of that Novocaine stuff, you can't say it no matter what it is anyhow. So.
I know it, but it's just different people are destined to go into different careers. And so if you are a dentist and it's Dr. Payne or Dr. Quack, right? I would think that if you were Dr. Quack, you'd have to change your name. But if you were a firearms manufacturer that is like Kaboom or Poof or something like that, once again, you would have to change your name. You'd have to name it Paul, right?
Detonation or detonator or something.
Right. You can't name it Poof. You just can't. So in the gun world, what else is named after people? There's a lot of stuff actually that is named after.
A lot of cartridges were named after people back in the day. I mean, and there was a lot of Wildcat guys that got their name on. Like there's a Harvey K. Chuck, they call it out there. There's a 257 Roberts. There's some of the earlier things. Ackley made things, so he just put Ackley improved on everything. So whatever you had, he just improved it and called it Ackley improved.
Okay. Well, it's like Peterson for the Peterson device.
Right. And, Weatherby, he thought he could do better than what was available to him, so he started his own gun company with his own Super Magnum bullets, and there you go. Now, if you want a Super Magnum, you buy a Weatherby because nothing else compares.
There you go. That's what his marketing team said. That is what his marketing team. So our video producer is adding some bylines to it, and we're just going to say no. Blue screen. I don't even want to visualize.
Like Dr. Gatling was actually a dentist who built the Gatling gun.
Okay. Now see, and that would be cool to be named.
Early on, a lot of the gun manufacturers, the guys the inventors, were either doctors or clergy. They were preachers or something in the church because they had a lot of time and so they had some money, so they could tinker in their spare time. And so you'll find that a lot of the Forsyth and that built remember that Cup Prime shotgun we were talking about? He was a preacher who was tired of his flintlock gun getting wet and he couldn't duck hunt, so he came up with a better way of it.
The fulminated mercury in the little pot. And
so he came up with a better way to do it, so he was sure that his gun would go off so that he could get a duck when he was hunting.
And it was called the flower pot design, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, when we come back, we're going to have Dianna Muller, DC Project.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger.
You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, The media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
Brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, krmaradio.com.
Okay, so we are back, and with us we have, this is our guest segment, as you know, and with us we have Dianna Muller of the DC Project. She is the founder of the DC Project, and the cool thing is that DC Project has just kicked off a series of videos, and this is the second in the series of videos, and it came out on Tuesday, and it has gone like gangbusters. So if you're watching the show on TV, on demand TV, any of those types of things, we're putting it in the commercial break so you can see it.
She's got her educate, not legislate shirt on. Did you guys sell them slinky little red dresses that say "I will not comply"? Because those would probably be hot sellers.
could actually be. So, hey Dianna, thanks and welcome to Eye on the Ticket Radio.
Hey, happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you, too. So, Rob wants to know, who's doing your marketing, and do you want to sell it "I will not comply" slinky red dress?
Well, I'm going to get one just for Rob, so he'll be wearing it around.
I'm thinking no. I'm just at the no stage. Teal is her color.
It's the hottest craze these days that, guys dressing up as girls, so he fit right in.
Oh, I see. She's getting one for you to wear.
I don't want one. You should see my legs. I look like a chicken.
Yeah. We'll just say if it's a person that is a character, he is the yellow M&M, and he's got legs just like that. Just say it. So, okay, so tell folks a little bit about this video and what was the backstory to this video, which is second in a series of 3.
Well, people probably already have heard that within the past 2 years, we are looking at 13 million first-time gun owners. Couple that with those people who never want to be a gun owner and might belong to a counter group, like, say, Moms Demand Action. And people don't really hear this proactive message from women. And so we wanted to put out a series of videos that touches base. The first one was with Mary and Lucretia. They are both survivors or have been afflicted by, gun violence, in quotes, because guns aren't violent. But Mary was able to defend herself with a firearm, and Lucretia's son was murdered by a felon. So we talk about how the criminal justice system is being soft on criminals, and that's part of the problem. And then Mary, if safe storage laws had been in effect, Mary would have never been able to save her life. This video that we released this week is more kind of like a backstory about the DC Project, who we are, what we're doing, and where we're going. And then we'll drop a third one around Mother's Day, of course, involving moms.
Okay, so that should be, because the DC Project, the tagline is that it is women defending the Second Amendment, and educate, not legislate. So why don't you explain the shirt that you see everywhere? Because the DC Project is growing in popularity, and the recognition of the teal shirts and the gals in the teal shirts going all over the country. But why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Right. So in 2019, I testified for the first time in front of the U.S. Congress, and we knew that Moms Demand Action were going to be there. In their red shirts,
Oh, did we lose her? Oh, so in the middle of all of that, there she went. Boom. So hopefully she's going to call us right back. But no, so her point is that she is testifying in a House Judiciary Committee in front of Representative Nadler about the assault weapons ban, and she really believed that the whole audience was going to be a sea of red shirts. So teal for 2A is the color. And Dianna, I was just completing your story because you weren't there to complete it. So
I appreciate that. It dropped me for some reason.
I got to the spot where the teal for 2A portion came. So now explain the T-shirt design and how it ended up in the audience.
I'm not a very creative person, and I'm taking 120% credit for that design logo. I don't know where it came from, but that is like the one thing that I am really proud of that came out of my brain. And it says legislate in big block letters, and then it's like chalk wrote over it and scratched out legislate and wrote educate over the top of it. And then we've got a couple of lines of ARs on the top and ARs on the bottom. And that was, I'm proud of it because it's really kind of a really powerful, quick message. That we believe that education is the key to safety, not legislation. And we see that Democratic city, liberal-run city after city after city, which is plagued with crime. And they have all these gun laws. And I just breaks my heart every time I see yet another shooting in a gun-free zone. Good people are not allowed to defend themselves. And it's a tragedy.
It really is. So you have come up with a style for this shirt that I have seen you wear pearls and a suit jacket with a T-shirt.
Yeah, and Chucks.
Okay, yes, and Chucks.
My Converse Chucks, yeah.
That are teal. So she's making a fashion statement that is just being made everywhere. It's pretty cute. So
thanks.
So you started the DC Project, but before that you were a police officer. And so you get to see guns used in crimes and criminals over and over again while you were an officer.
Right.
You want to talk on that a minute?
Yeah, for every person or every criminal that has a gun and uses a gun criminally, there are exponentially more good people that are using guns to defend themselves. And I think that's where the numbers and the statistics get skewed. Whenever gun control proponents, talk about that 40,000 number of people that are killed annually, two-thirds of that is suicide. It's not like somebody is coming up to you and shooting you and murdering you. If we're gonna talk about that 40,000 number, I think we should talk about how many lives are saved annually by guns, and that is up to 2 million. So if we're gonna compare apples to apples, we need to stick with that instead of apples to oranges.
It's really pretty odd because they talk about that and then they're like, the NRA says a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun, and we don't ever hear about that. Well, Rob Morris is taken to doing self-defense gun stories, and he does 4 defensive gun uses in a story and breaks it down with a firearms instructor every week. And he's using current stories, so he's not going back in history. He is using current stuff. So at minimum, 4 that meet Rob's criteria. And so many of the defensive gun uses, no shots are fired. They never make the news. As Kathy Jackson says, it's the day that nothing happened because I was prepared and I could stop it.
Exactly, and that's exactly what Mary's story is. There's no gun violence recorded with that because she properly and successfully defended herself with a firearm, and nothing, besides the guy getting prosecuted and going to prison for, kidnapping and breaking and entering and attempted homicide. I don't know what his charges were, but when you break into somebody's house and you strangle them and beat them in the face, that's kind of a big deal. So besides those charges, nobody ever gets charged with firearms-related things, so it doesn't get counted in one column or the other.
Right, and that's really it. I mean, that's the thing we wish for everybody is to be prepared, but to be the day that nothing happened, that you never have to use it, that you're never called upon to use it, or to never called upon to fire it, if at all possible. But you prepare for that day so that if you have to, you can.
Right, absolutely.
So what's going on? So you've got the first video was Lucretia and Mary. The second video is you and Beth, and who else was in that? So Beth Walker.
Gabby Franco.
Oh, Gabby.
Naturalized immigrant from Venezuela. And she, has seen tyranny destroy a country. And it started with losing their gun rights. So she tells her story about, where she came from, what she saw, and where the Venezuelans are right now. So, and that she's, dedicated to not letting it happen here.
I think it's amazing as you listen to Gabby and how forceful she is about it. I mean, she participated in Venezuela representing the country in the Olympics, and yet left Venezuela because the rules and the restrictions, she could see this coming, and it was just not getting any better. It was absolutely getting worse.
Right. Well, America is the last hope of freedom. And we're doing what we can to safeguard the Second Amendment, which I believe is the capstone of our entire Constitution.
Oh, and I very much agree with that. So the DC Project is a 501c4, which is it's in the not-for-profit sort of status, and so it works on and functions under donations. So if folks want to donate, how can they?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're actually, if anybody's listening and knows Elon Musk, I'm interested in having a conversation with him.
Got it. Quick.
DCproject.info.
Okay,
is where they
we'll be back right after this. DCproject.info.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough? Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Writing Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Writing Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, so we are back, and with us we have Dianna Muller from the DC Project. So Dianna, let's continue on with how do they make a donation?
Well, while I was listening to the commercial, we have an old commercial with Cheryl Todd on the deal in the commercial break. We got to update that because we don't have a GoFundMe anymore. We have dcproject.info. There's a donate button there. There's also all sorts of information, events coming up, things like that.
Okay, so let's talk about that. The events that are coming up. So there is the shooting match, the 3-gun competition shooting match that's happening in Missouri.
Right.
So what's the deal? What's the details? How do people find out about it?
Yeah, if anybody's around the mid-Missouri area, it's right outside Osage Beach, which is right on the lake, and we have a 3-gun match. It's a 2-man team match, and we shoot for 2 days, but the Friday before we start shooting, we have a banquet, a fundraising banquet, so we'll have lots of raffles, games, food, and things like that, and they can find that under events on dcproject.info. Another thing that we've got on there is, if this might be in our shopping cart, I would have to go look, but we have a Clays. Anybody that's in the Dallas area, we have a Clays event on June 3rd, and that's new for us. So, yeah, we're excited about that. And also, why don't you talk about our rally? Because we're doing something different. You also had a commercial for Realize and explaining what Realize was, and it was really good. And I thought maybe I should touch base on, what do we do in the DC project? You want me to go into that?
Sure, do.
Okay. Well, at first it was one woman from every state because I didn't really want a new organization. I didn't want to herd too many cats. But we would go to Washington, D.C., we would break up into small groups, and we would meet our legislators as gun owners. Now, fast forward to 2019, and we saw Virginia. The state of Virginia fell to an all-gun control legislature. So from top to bottom, from governor on down. And I thought, oh, boy, this is our fight is in the states. So I asked those women that had been coming to Washington, D.C. to turn around, go back to their home states, and do the same thing at the state level. So that opened the floodgates to everybody can sign up now, and we would love for everybody that is in your listening audience to sign up, get on our newsletter. Once a year we go to Washington, D.C., but we've been really effective in the states as well. So the state directors are on fire. They're going to their states. That teal color is coming out, and we're really being a counter-visual and counter-voice to Moms Demand Action. And we're testifying left and right. And also your audience, I would love for them to follow us on social media and give us a like or a follow.
Oh yeah, because it's really funny how that interaction makes a difference. I was on something and I made a post, and 20 people commented, and then 3,500 people saw it. I made another post, and one person commented, and 150 people saw it. The difference between 20 comments just exponentially expands its view, and it's so amazing. So the DC Project, if people want to get to know and see the DC Project, one, you can go to the website dcproject.info. The second thing is that you and a group of your gals is going to be part of the feature speakers at the NRA's Concealed Carry Fashion Show that is happening in Houston as part of the NRA's annual meeting. And so that is happening on Saturday night. And so we will make it to where there's tickets available on the website through DC Project. So if somebody wants to go that way to get them. And so wait for a week to give us a little time to get that on there. But that is happening. So we're going to be in Houston the last week of May. Then the first week of June they're going to be in Dallas for the clay shoot. Then 2 weeks later they're going to be in Missouri for the 3-gun match. And then Washington, D.C. the week that culminates in September 17th. And that is where we are going to do a We the People 2A rally on the Capitol lawn. And so the DC Project is lining up a series of speakers, and we're hoping to make this a big deal. So as we go to DC every year, we've had a little rally at the end, just doing the rah, 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 look at what we've accomplished. And when we say what we've accomplished, the last time that the full cadre of women was in DC, we went and saw and talked to the offices of 132 different legislators. Some of them we met with the staffers, some of them we met with the legislators themselves, but 132 different offices where we had meetings. Not just to stop in, drop a business card, say we were here, but an actual sit-down conversation talking about the Second Amendment and how we can be an asset or involved with the legislators as a resource. You want to talk about that a little bit, as to what are we offering to our legislators? Why do we go to D.C.?
Well, really, there's two-pronged. There are people that support the Constitution, the Second Amendment, and there are people that don't. For the people that do support the Constitution and they want to support the Second Amendment, it's really important that we're there and that we can give a counter-visual and counter-voice to Moms Demand Action, because Moms Demand is an AstroTurf, Bloomberg-funded group of hellions that are misinformed. I'm sure that if we could get an audience with all of their membership, that we could walk away with half of them. Because they'll say things like, we support the Second Amendment, but gun control, gun control, gun control. Look at the bad guns, look at the bad guns. And they are bullies when it comes to working their way around Congress and they're demanding their way be done. Mm-hmm. And they're very frustrated because now they're seeing, that the 25th state has signed in. Yeah, and they're very frustrated because they think that they're in control and in power, and they don't understand. What they don't understand is that this is a constitutional issue, that this is not a partisan issue. And if there's any Democratic gun owners out there, that they need to be stepping up and talking to their legislators and saying, this is a non-issue. You should leave this issue alone. I, as a Democrat, want my guns, and I appreciate my guns. And it's a divisive, a very explosive, you're turning off so many people, even within your party, when you go down these partisan, with the Constitution, when you go down these rabbit holes.
And that makes so much sense, because the Democratic platform has an anti-gun agenda built into it. Yet, so that actually puts it as an anti-Constitution, or a building block of the Constitution built right into their agenda. And there are a lot of Democrats who say that I didn't leave the party is leaving me, and they're hunters and sportsmen and involved.
Right. Absolutely. So I love to have a liberal, left-leaning Democrat, whatever label they want to call themselves. I love to have them join the DC Project, because I want to go into both. I want to go into every office. I want to go into the janitor's office when we go to Washington, D.C., and I want to talk to everybody about why we support the Second Amendment. And it's so nice to have somebody that, that we can show them that this is not a partisan issue, that this person likes progressive type ideas and this person likes conservative type ideas, and we are together. This is the glue that holds us all together.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and I think that's one of the things that the DC Project has been able to accomplish. That, and the fact that their perception that gun owners are big, burly, bearded, plaid shirt wearing, looking at Rob, kind of guys, and when they get to professional women, it's a completely different thing. So we're right at the top of the hour. I've got to go. So Dianna Muller, thank you very much for joining us. Folks, go to dcproject.info and then check out the new commercial.
Who is this?
You and I are constantly bombarded by misinformation from politicians, celebrities, and media personalities who demonize guns and gun owners. Their accounts are contrary to my experience as a responsible gun owner, a retired police officer, and a professional competitive shooter. I have listened to their lies and I've taken their punches, but I refuse to stay silent any longer, because I know a lot of women who have something to say and they won in the game. They're ready to play offense with the truth.
The truth is, we all want the same thing: to protect ourselves, our families, and to be safe in our communities. The DC Project is a nationwide grassroots organization made up of women from every demographic. We come from all different walks of life, but we are united in preserving our Second Amendment rights. As we share our experiences, we push back against gun control lies and oppose those who demand our rights be restricted.
As an immigrant from Venezuela, I saw how easy it was for freedom to die. My family and I watched tyranny destroy our home. In Venezuela, The media, celebrities, and politicians repeated the same anti-gun messages until people found it normal and acceptable to give up their freedoms. The reality is, none of it is normal or acceptable. Hungry and helpless, Venezuelans are now unable to protect themselves. Now, as a proud American, I am determined to guard against the same things happening here.
We constantly hear about common sense gun control, like universal background checks, banning assault weapons, ghost guns, high-capacity magazines, and gun show loopholes. Every city that is facing massive crime waves have put these policies into place. Common sense tells me that they don't work. So why do people still believe the idea that those policies save lives? Actual common sense is holding criminals accountable, not letting them out of jail or encouraging them to be more confrontational. Common sense is not stealing the right of the American people to protect themselves. This is the message that America needs to hear.
The DC Project works to reduce firearm accidents by campaigning for education in schools. We counter the false gun control lies by testifying in hearings and meeting our legislators. We equip our friends, our families, and our communities to know the truth. Gun owners are good people.
America is a beacon of freedom. The Second Amendment is vital piece in ensuring that our kids can have a free country to grow up in. We stand with the lawmakers who support the Constitution, and we provide armor from the attacks by the gun control lobby.
Join the DC Project today. Become a member, donate, or subscribe to our newsletter for updates on how we educate, advocate, and preserve our Second Amendment rights for generations to come.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
You hit the radio bullseye. And the home for everything Second Amendment, concealed carry, the latest gear, reciprocity, legislation, the right to self-protection, and it shall not be infringed. This is Eye on the Target Radio with your hosts, Rob and Amanda.
Okay, folks, we are back, and our interaction with our audience is sometimes just cracking me up. So Pacific Northwest is going to pay money not to have to see you in a red dress.
He's surmising it's going to be record-breaking profits for.
Well, one would hope. We'll just say,
especially a slinky red dress.
That's
a good one.
I'd
rock that slinky red dress like nobody.
I wouldn't try her because you'll get one for the fashion show. I'm just saying,
I'd like a fire plug out in front of the school.
Exactly, it wouldn't be good at all. So, Charlie Chambers is asking if we have heard anything about the pending SCOTUS.
Completely silent. We are seeing some of the cities and stuff prepping to.
They're anticipating. So this is the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, and it is Bruin versus the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association. And it looks as if it has the potential to be a very big thing, to the point where some of the states are loosening up their restrictions in anticipation.
To go when this comes through, because they're already anticipating that there's going to have to start handing out licenses and stuff like this. So they're hiring policemen and doing different things.
They're doing all of that stuff, and that is interesting. That is great, actually. And it's so funny because there are a series of cities that had been defund the police, don't support the police, don't staff the police, don't train the police, don't do anything with the police. Oh yeah, and don't have the police on the subway. Don't have any of that because, and then now all of a sudden they're like, we didn't say that. We didn't say any of that. And so that would be the thing that goes with it is we did say that. We don't know what you're talking about.
And you can look back it's all in writing, and you can hear it with your own ears on the TV. They've said it.
They've said it. Now they're like, never mind, revisionist history. That's how that is. So let's talk a little bit about this this subway attack that happened in New York City. So the interesting thing is the guy got off the subway, and the guy who shall remain nameless. I don't want to know his name. I don't need to know his name. You don't need to hear his name. I'm not making him famous. But after the shooting, he was free and roaming New York City for an additional 30 hours because guess what? The cameras didn't work.
How convenient.
Guess what? He had gotten off the subway with everybody else.
There should be some investigation into the camera manufacturers for all these locations with Epstein's cameras not working, and
there's a few.
Some of the other notable crime cases.
We're just going to run the conspiracy theorists' heyday and say all those cameras should have been working.
All the Las Vegas cameras quit working that same night. It was kind of funny how that works.
Funny.
Anyhow, this guy, 62 years old, he had a gun he bought from Ohio.
At a pawn shop in Columbus in 2011, so 11 years ago.
From a pawn shop, he had to go through the background check.
That's the interesting part, is he had to do a full background check. But
so
now
he had to prove he was a resident of the state, do the background check, and pick up the gun.
But now the news is saying that this is a perfect example why they need ghost gun restrictions. Huh? Okay, I don't understand. I don't understand your circular logic, because you want a background check. He had a background check. He passed the background check, and but at the same time, he has a criminal history.
The problem that you have is most of these people who they're talking to in the news have no idea how to go about buying a gun, what's involved, what's the background check.
Mhm.
They just know we need one. They don't even know that we already have one in place.
Okay,
They
they're
just
just
know,
saying this would be a good thing.
right, well, that's the thing. They don't know that there's already all these restrictions. If they went to buy a gun, they'd be in awe of how much stuff they have to, hoop jumping and filling out paperwork and showing stuff. But sitting blissfully ignorant in your easy chair listening to these little news blurbs, you don't realize that that's already there. So now you're saying, well, we need this, we need this, we need this, and that sounds like a good idea. So why don't we get
Why
this?
don't we have that? But we already have it, and it's not working. So because it's not working, why is it not working? Oh, because you're not the thought police, and he hasn't committed a crime yet. Or they've plea bargained down the crimes that he has committed to the point where it wouldn't stop him from being legally allowed to own a gun.
And then the other part of this is this article that is, I don't even...
So once again, Tom Knighton, I love Tom Knighton and so Tom writes so much for Bearing Arms, but go ahead.
So anyhow, I was talking about mental health records, that even if he had mental health records, we wouldn't be allowed to have access to them or see them. But then, too, on the form that you fill out, you have to self-incriminate. So if it asks if you have a mental health problem, you're the one that has to say yes or no.
And if you say no, then okay.
There's no way for them to prove that you're wrong.
But you don't, there's this question, and so you're like, well, crazy people shouldn't have a gun. I think everybody agrees. But define the level of crazy.
Even the crazy people would tell you that crazy people shouldn't have a gun, but they're not at that level.
They're not that, how crazy, right, how crazy is crazy, and when do you get to be uncrazy, and do you get cured, are you good if you're on medication and the medication fixes it? Is that acceptable? Nobody wants to dive into that gray, murky
what is
area.
Normal? If you butter your crackers before you put peanut butter on them, is that normal or not? And
don't look at me like that.
If you eat hot ketchup on your Whopper, does that make you crazy?
Don't look at me like that. I need to know, on your Thomas's English muffin, do you put butter before you put cream cheese?
Right. Or do you, if you don't dip your French fries in your Frosty at the Wendy's,
are you crazy?
There's something wrong with you.
Right. I mean, so there's different levels of all of that, and how is it that where you're adjudicated, and there's that. But the other piece of it is...
Another thing, too, is you think about it, you've had days where everything went good and days where everything went bad, and yesterday when you bought your gun, everything was going good. A couple years later, 11 years later, maybe things have changed on this point.
And so how do you do the advanced thought police? I don't believe you can. I mean, because when you look at it, 3 million people annually use their gun to defend themselves, and one guy used his gun to do something bad. So
we talk about the one guy, but not the 3 million people who didn't shoot the place up.
Exactly. And it's the 3 million people who bought a gun, that used a gun this year in defensive gun uses. That's not talking about the 120 million gun owners whose gun did nothing wrong. And so, so Carrie Ann is like, we need to concentrate on crime and mental health. And crime and the recidivism, and crime and Ohio Supreme Court just recently, we had the Ohio Supreme Court Justice Pat DeWine on recently, where he was told that they cannot consider the public and whether they're going to do something again in the sentencing structure.
So in that thing, even if you were mentally defective, as they call it, they wouldn't be able to hold that against you because you may not be tomorrow. So
right.
We definitely need to change some rules around here. I think the America's Timeout chair is done. I think that
and there's a spot where we've all had that boss who wants to punish everybody. If somebody does something wrong, then everybody gets punished, whatever that is. And we've all had that, and it doesn't work. And pretty soon you all are unhappy and you start leaving.
My boss used to
employment.
make me go speedboat riding with them because if we all didn't go, nobody went. So it's
Right,
like,
and
if I had
you-
to be stuck on this boat all day long, it's pure torture.
And it's really funny because Rob hates water. Totally hates water. He calls it water jail. But he had to go because if not, but it's that kind of a thing. So that's how they're treating gun owners. If one person does something wrong, we're going to punish everybody. But if people do 100,000 people do something right, we don't celebrate that. That's not how this is. So it is only collective punishment, only collective. So the sentencing and all that kind of thing.
The conspiracy part of me is it just seemed funny that the president has a speech, and then the following Monday, this guy decides to go shoot up the.
Maybe he didn't like the president's speech.
There was a movie back in the day where they would dial a phone number and the guy answered it, and they would play a tone or something and turn him on to do something. There's very good likelihood that something like this
We'll be
happens.
back right after this, folks.
Honest citizens like you protect themselves every day. We talk about it every week on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Were these gun owners lucky, or did they have a plan? How should we defend the people we love? We discuss recent examples on the Self-Defense Gun Stories podcast. Put us in your pocket.
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Hi, this is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. I wanted to let you know that the show you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can check out all the shows on the network by going to selfdefenseradio.net or tune in for more on Self-Defense Mondays on Karma Radio, KRMAradio.com.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolcool and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, folks, we are back. I'm telling you, though, I am so excited to be involved with the DC project and the stuff that they do. It is just an amazing organization, absolutely amazing organization. So what else is happening in some of these states? So let's see. So Carrie Ann says that the media will not allow guns to be the good guy. This is why we need to use our voices to tell our stories. Education is the key to safety. She is a DC project gal, and she is spot on with the fact that guns have to be vilified, and if they're vilified, then they can blame the gun. They don't blame the person. They don't blame the action. They blame the gun. Now, if you use your car to commit a crime, or you use an axe to commit a crime, it's you, the person. But if you use a gun, it's that nasty old gun, and I don't understand quite why.
Well, we've seen some states pass laws where, like the one you can't, if the feds come into their state, they can't use local police to help them. Oklahoma now is working on a bill that it sounds like a good idea from the start, but as to how it goes, if there's a company that wants to do business with the state of Oklahoma, it has to show a contract with that says that they won't. So does that have a policy, practice, guidance, or directive that discriminates against the firearms entity or firearms trade association and will not discriminate during the term of the contract against the firearms entity or firearms trade?
So what happened was Texas came up with this, and I know that they talked about it. I don't know if they passed it. So anybody listening that's doing one of the on-demands, let us know. But Texas did it because they were running into banking issues, and they said, okay, we will not buy bonds, and we will not enter into financial relationships with banks that have an anti-gun stance and an anti-gun policy, and that would not do business with gun shops and gun manufacturers.
Well, plus how much did Texas got a lot of gun manufacturers moved down there when the states started to tightening up on some of the...
It's really funny because all the gun manufacturers, or most of the gun manufacturers, started really high up on the East Coast. And so we did a story about it a couple weeks ago.
But even like Magpul was in Colorado, I believe, and they moved to... They were allowed to make their stuff there, but they couldn't sell any of it in Colorado.
Yeah.
So
and their employees weren't allowed to have it because that would be illegal in Colorado. So Magpul was like, okay, yeah, we've had enough of you. We've had enough of that. And I believe they packed up and went to Austin.
But that's the thing. So we're seeing the states are starting to be proactive in some of this. And so they're taking on
taking on these businesses and saying, okay, fine, this is states' rights issues, dudes. And if you don't believe us...
It doesn't force the business to comply. It just forces them not to do any business on the state level. So
we're just going to hit you right in the wallet. If you want to do business with our state, then this has to be your policy.
Right in the wallet.
Right in the wallet. Well, I think that's it. What hurts them the most?
Well, you mentioned something earlier about Dick Heller had won his lawsuit and against the DC again. So this
was the interesting thing. What it was this is about the 80% guns. So Dick Heller actually ordered and had shipped to him one of the partial polymer firearms kits. The things that now everybody calls ghost guns, but they called them a buy, build, shoot kit. So Dick Heller bought the kit, and when he bought the kit, he then had it shipped to him, and the post office, it was forcibly returned, shipped back to the retailer, and Dick Heller wasn't allowed to have it. So I would love to hear the details of forcibly returned. Right? I don't. Does that mean that that their postman got his arm twisted and they took it away from him? Dick's holding the box. They're holding the box. Give it to me. No, give it to me. No, it's mine. No, it's mine. You know, can't you visualize the cartoons going on? But it was forcibly returned and shipped back to the president of Bear Arms in Robbins, North Carolina. So Dick filed a lawsuit with George Lyon, Esquire, plaintiffs Dick Heller, L.B. Godwin, and a few others. So this is under the Heller Foundation, hellerfoundation.org. And so the Heller Foundation, here's their press release. The Heller Foundation organization formally announces a settlement with the city of Washington, D.C. on the Second Amendment challenge of their, D.C.'s, infringement on citizens' firearms, freedom, civil rights. Consequently, there was a small financial award to the foundation being the Heller Foundation, and a retraction of the unlawful restrictions. Isn't that amazing? I love it when the good guy wins. You know, I love it when you end up with when the story ends with a happy ending and kumbaya and everybody is happy and so the good guy goes off to the bank with his little check. You know, that's that's just great news. It's a great visual. Right?
So it's a part of the bill is that they could build a boat, airplane, a bow and arrow, and a firearm now or something. It's kind of confusing on that line, but
yeah. Well, there you go. So, I don't know. In a free country, you could do this, but in D.C., they're saying it wasn't a free country. If you guys have ever had an opportunity to hear Dick Heller wax eloquent, he sometimes goes into a different realm that you're like, hey, let me reel you back over here.
Circular motion.
Bro, there is all of that. The way that Dick Heller's mind works is different than some of the rest of us, but that's also put him as the plaintiff in multiple lawsuits against Washington, D.C., and he wins over and over. So there's nothing wrong with the way his mind works. We just have to keep up.
Well, here's I think Kansas has a good idea.
What?
And they're selling lifetime hunting and fishing licenses for kids.
For kids.
So Grandpa will buy them. Apparently, if your child is 5 years or under, you can get a lifetime license for $300. And then if he's 6 to 7 years old, they can get it for $500. But if you're going to be a hunter, that would be a good
and if
investment.
you don't know you're going to take a chance, you take a chance and get the kids started. The 6 to 7 year olds, you already kind of have an idea if they have some interest, so they up the price $200. But the littles, you don't. It's $300. I think it's an absolutely great concept. We'll be back right after this.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
When people use a firearm in self-defense, they could be arrested or sued and face extensive legal costs. Firearms Legal Protection provides uncapped legal defense for any member who uses a legal weapon in defense of themselves or others, providing members with peace of mind in these difficult situations by covering all attorney fees and other benefits. Use code EOTT at firearmslegal.com for a discount on all membership plans. Protect yourself. We'll protect you.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl / mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.eyeonthetargetradio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.eyeonthetargetradio.com for Rust is Bad.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit projectchildsafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Shotgun with Charlie.
I'm Charlie Cook from Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Conversations in the car about gun safety, freedoms, and even a few laughs. Imagine you're in the back seat listening to an intimate chat with me and my passengers as we drive all around the country. Listen, watch, and subscribe to the Riding Shotgun with Charlie YouTube channel and podcast.
Okay, so we are back. If you are hanging around on the web in any manner, go to FN America, their Facebook page or their website. Their Easter greeting is pretty amazing. Somebody did amazing gun-oriented Easter eggs on their website. It is they must have a cricket. I don't know, but it was it's like I think I have egg envy right now. They are just adorable.
Because your Easter eggs didn't have PS90s on them?
My Easter eggs were singular colors and they were kind of boring. I'm just saying. Those were amazing. So if we were going somewhere and doing something, I'd have to go get a cricket just so I could have Easter eggs that look like that.
So anyhow, we have a letter showing that the ATF lied. Can you believe that?
Oh, no. Tell me this isn't so. That the ATF would lie to... They'd lie to you and me?
As a manufacturer, you have to turn in your stuff to the ATF to get an okay as to whether it meets their qualifications to let regular people have
to be able to sell it? And so
they say, they tell Congress that the first guy in is the first guy out.
Oh, wait. So you're not saying that they lied to you and me. They not only do they lie to you and me, they lied to Congress?
But they lied to Congress, and then
they're
saying that none of their testing on this forward FATD evaluations, so I don't know what that actually stands
Yeah, so wait, Firearms Ammunition Technology Division.
Right, so any of their testing on this, they told Congress that it takes them a 90-day turnaround time for the issuance of a determination letter. But they've uncovered that it takes somewhere between 6 and 9 months usually, and some things go right through, but other things that they want...
So an average of 6 to 9 months, and some of them are sitting for 15 months or longer.
Right, so if it's unfinished pistol frames or pistol stabilizer braces or something like this, they let them go longer. So they're saying in reality it's a form of
restriction.
Right.
Yeah, it's a ban. It's a ban without making it a ban. It's
Right.
not. It's sort of banning. It's banish. But yeah, it's really. So one, they lied to Congress. Two, they're not doing it the way that they said, which is first in, first out. Three, they're picking and choosing winners and losers. And four, you and I know that even when they give you the letter of determination that says that this is the truth, then the letter is not worth the paper it's printed on. And because
the thing is,
we've seen that.
We've had trouble with these since even when George Bush Sr. was even
Okay.
in. And the ATF has been problematic ever since. They don't have a full-time director, so nobody really takes charge of what's right or wrong about the whole thing.
They don't have the people, service to the people, as their mainstay purpose. Their purpose is to be a cog in the wheel of progress.
Right. In reality, they are a bollard in the wheel of progress.
They are a yes. So they are the bog that grinds it all down to nothing. But no, they really are a political punishment tool.
Right. I mean, you think about it. It says alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives. So they have other things they're supposed to be doing. If they do all of that as poorly as they do the firearms end of it, we definitely need some kind of review of what's going on.
Right. Because think about it. They're doing bad explosive stuff. They're doing bad firearm stuff. They're doing bad alcohol stuff.
Right. So they're not making their money or regulating what should be regulated or whatever at any level. I think that if anything needs an audit, it should be the ATF.
I'm telling you. So what we really need is a pro-gun guy who likes to drink whiskey, smoke cigarettes, and set off an M80 periodically, as the guy who says, "Yeehaw! I am going to head up the Bureau of right?
Yeah.
Is that not what we want?
Right?
A cigar smoking?
He lights his cigar with one of those little twist detonator things that they use for setting off dynamite or something.
Yeah, but we need that. I mean, because the BATFE should be the name of a really good party. It shouldn't be the restrictions that are unconstitutional restrictions.
If you look at the ATF, the way that they're being run, they're actually making their own
rules.
They're making their own argument for why they shouldn't actually be there in the first place.
Okay.
So it's if you look at it, the rules, they've muddied the rules in the last, say, 20 years to where no one knows what a sawed-off shotgun really means. Nobody knows what a destructive device really means. Nobody knows where the serial number should be or what a real serial number should look like.
But they'll know it when they see it, and they'll tell you where it is, and it'll only take them 90 days. Oh, wait, maybe 15 months to tell you. Somewhere between 90 days and 15 months.
The thing is that if they knew for sure what the stuff was and wrote it all down, but instead they issue these letters to say, you're good until we decide you're not, and then now you have a product that you cannot use or sell,
and you have a product, and you have a factory, and you have employees, and you have a website.
I don't know if you remember back in the 80s, remember those clock-style shotguns they were selling that had like a big cylinder, you wound them up, and then you pushed the button and loaded them, and then you wound them up again, and then you shot them, and then you wound them up again, and then you had to knock all the bullets out. They looked really cool on the movies and stuff like this. A regular automatic shotgun is 100 times faster to operate than this.
Okay. So it was novel.
But they don't look as good when the Terminator is using them in the television. So the ATF said they were good, and then they all of a sudden said they weren't good. And so, but they printed it in this little Nevermind print in the back page of a gun magazine in like 1984 or something that nobody read. And then if you had like 30 days to contact the ATF, and they would give you a tax stamp for free because of the fact that they made a mistake.
But they didn't,
But after that 30-day time frame, now your gun is illegal, and there's no
grace period. You can't go back.
Getting it back into the system.
Right.
So how many of those are out there?
So once again, there's words for that. It's a crock of cheese. We'll just say.
But there's multiple guns like that they've done over the the years, and there's other things. So you're seeing it with the bump stock. It was on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
Now you're seeing it with the triggers.
Right, and before long they'll make some determination with suppressors or muzzle flash devices or who knows what it's going to be. Well, it used to be you could buy a parts kit for a gun that came with all the parts, and then they just changed it to where they couldn't import any barrels. So the barrel is the most expensive part of the gun if you're going to buy one. So now all of a sudden the parts kits aren't such a deal anymore because now you have to pay $150 or $200 for a barrel.
For a barrel that if you imported it would be a whole lot less money. So yeah, it really is. I want to say I want to call them badgers. You know, that's it, or some other word that starts with a B. But there you go, those badgers. You know, but. Can we apply to be the director of the ATF? Because if there's a job opening, I think, hey, I'm retiring in 4 days.
It just happened to have some spare time.
It just so happens. I think I can find some spare time. And I know a little bit about, I don't know a lot about alcohol or tobacco.
You could learn, though.
I could learn those things. I'd have a great time.
I'm sure you have plenty of friends who could give you some feedback.
I'd have some great time with learning about explosives, and I'm pretty decent about firearms. So there, I've got at least 25% of the job down. What do you think? So we could start a whole political writing campaign, a write-in to consider Amanda Suffolk for the director of the ATF. What do you think?
Right, you'd be like Mrs. Kaboom.
There, that would be it. Okay.
You know, the Russians, years back, they ran into the Finns in a little war called the Winter War. It didn't go well for the Russians because.
Okay, so tell people about the story of the Winter War.
Well, it was, I believe, between World War I and World War II. There was this thing, and they got into it, and the Finns could hide in the snow, and then they would shoot you from a long ways away. And
right, and the Russians were like, I'm cold.
Yeah, I'm cold. I'm
cold, and I really didn't want to be here.
Right.
Wait.
So they eventually lost, and you'll see there's a lot of captured Russian rifles that were converted by the Finns into actually remarkable pieces because they've rebarreled some of them, and they tested them all. All of them have mismatched serial numbers. All of them have stocks that are blended together out of a couple different pieces of gun because they were stronger that way. So the Finns actually just made the Russian rifle better.
Okay.
And
Got it.
So now that the Russians are flexing their muscles in the Ukraine, the Finns have all decided that they need to start having these reserve.
Well, the Russians have kind of moved close to Finland, and Finland started to move all of their heavy construction equipment to the border, saying, you really don't mean this because my bulldozers and my diggers are going to get you. Right? They're starting there.
But they're also, all the Fed reservists have started showing up at shooting ranges and practicing.
Then they had 1,300 more members join in the last couple of weeks. So people are like, oh, I guess I'm buffing up my skills.
We're sharpening our military skills. So I mean, it's looks like they're also they're looking at joining NATO, which is one of the sticking points that the Ukraine has right now, because that's what the first his demand was, that they want to get away from. He wants them to get away from NATO.
Yeah, they're not allowed because NATO would defend them. So what is it? Finland says, our president says we're not scared, but we are aware, and he's ready. They're ready. So Finland needs to move their farming tractors to the borders. They are moving heavy equipment to the border. I think it's great. I mean, it came up on the news organizations this morning. I saw like big front end bucket loaders moving to the border.
Well, their quote is
Hi, I'm Janelle Westrom, owner of Davenport Guns and Davenport Shooting Club. At Davenport Guns, we do so much more than sell firearms. We advocate for increased personal safety and security, not just for you, but your whole family and community. Go to DavenportGuns.com to see our online inventory and browse videos, articles, and things we just find entertaining. Sign up for our newsletter to learn more.
This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio, and I am proud to join Amanda Suffolk and all the 50 women, one from each state, in our grassroots efforts to protect the Second Amendment as delegates of the DC Project. Grassroots organizations like the DC Project run on donations, so please consider donating to our GoFundMe/DC Project to keep the promise of freedom alive.
Ladies, ever wish you could find a brand that understood the difference between feminine and functional? A brand that didn't make you choose between looking good and looking tough. Check out offhandgear.com, a brand designed by a gun girl/mom that closed the gap to give you feminine, durable, functional gear. Offhandgear.com, the brand that gets you.
We all know rust is bad. To help keep rust from forming on your firearms, tools, and other ferrous-based items, you want to have Rust is Bad in your gun-safe toolbox and anywhere you want to be rust-free. Rust is Bad bolsters and G-strings deposit small, safe particles that coat your rust-vulnerable items. Save your valuable items with Rust is Bad. Go to www.IamTheTargetRadio.com and follow the link for more information. That's www.IamTheTargetRadio.com for Rust is Bad.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3 and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. RealizeFAC.com.
Your front door, your car, your gun. Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different, and the best way to help prevent accidents, misuse, and theft. Cable locks help keep firearms secured. Learn how to get a free firearm safety kit. Visit ProjectChildSafe.org. If you have a firearm, own it, respect it, and secure it. Brought to you by the National Shooting Sports Foundation and the Bureau of Justice Assistance.
Grab your friends and head to Georgia to train with the Complete Combatant. The Complete Combatant offers a unique approach to self-defense training, layering the first signs of danger, lethal versus non-lethal decisions, and even surviving the aftermath. They offer premier firearms training with a range master certified instructor and host the top minds in our industry. See the courses offered on thecompletecombatant.com. That's thecompletecombatant.com.
Okay, so we're back to let's finish the story that we were talking about before we stomped right all over the commercial break. So obviously somebody who was supposed to be watching the clock, me, missed that. So here we go. The Finns say that the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. So they are talking about how they are working on disaster preparedness and avoidance. And I don't think you could get any better than that as a legit statement.
Well, they're watching the Ukraine, what they're going through, so now that they're starting to posture as a come and get me thing. Maybe that will keep someone from thinking about it.
Really coming to get them. There you go. So it's like, we're prepared, so you really don't want, what is that? You really don't want to break off a piece of this? Is that how that goes? So I think it's legit. And the funny part is, as Americans, we forget just how small the central part of Europe is. And so it's like state to state to state how squished they are together there. Once you get past China and Russia, the rest of them are fairly small, and so they're going to defend their areas.
You know, the other part we got is our president. If you heard any of his some of the stuff that goes on with him, it's funny. I was watching a video the other day of the Arabs making fun of him like Saturday Night Live.
Well, the United States can't say anything about the fact that another country, is making fun of our president, because we are of an age where we remember Johnny Carson with the yes sir, no sir,
yes,
yes
sir,
sir,
yes sir, but no sir,
yes sir, no sir, yes sir.
It was kind of like that. Whatever the Who's on First thing,
right?
But with Ronald Reagan and all of the Middle Eastern players.
All the Middle Eastern players. So they made fun there. So right now, but we as Americans are not used to it because foreign countries haven't really made fun
of
our
because
president.
We usually are either stepping on their neck or we're giving them a big pile of money.
So one of the two. So in this case, we're doing, I don't know, maybe one or the other of those, but it doesn't really matter.
But the thing is I was watching a thing the other night about the Hispanics in Texas and then the general public in the U.S., and they're saying that his
popularity numbers are declining.
He's under 25% with the Hispanics, and he's at 33% with the general public.
Wow. Okay.
It makes you wonder who they're asking. But they're saying his gun control push is going to cost Biden in the midterm. I think his super low numbers and some of the other things he's got going on, like $5 gasoline, and that is going to be more of a issue than his gun control stuff.
I think it's a little bit of all of that, but they're trying to turn them into partisan issues, and they're not, and so they've got a series of non-partisan issues they've got to address.
As you guys can see on the TV, and I'm old, but I've never thought that there would be a day when you couldn't buy 22 bullets, and when you go to the store and there's nothing on the shelf except for Dr. Pepper or something, what's going on in America? And I hear from people that they can't buy pipe fittings and they can't buy fence parts, and there's only certain kinds of steel available, and there's no saw blades for this type of saw anymore or something. We're just not used to that here in America.
We've been the land of plenty, a land of abundance.
Just get what you want and go back to the hardware store when you need more, instead of having to think about it 6 or 8 months in advance and buy as much as you can hold, because there's not going to be any more.
And then that's going to be a problem, because then once there's restrictions, we found it with ammo. Once there was shortages and you went to the shelf and there wasn't any, the next time if you went to the shelf and there was some, you would take 2 times or 3 times what you needed, because the next time you don't have faith that it'll be there. And so it makes it as an ebb and flow. It makes the shortages even worse.
But are these shortages due to the COVID and the manpower not going to work? Is it due to the fact that we get so much stuff from foreign countries and it's not being shipped in?
And the restrictions?
Does it go to the other things that are different, I don't know, EPA type pollution controls and stuff like this that are causing these shortages? What is that making it this way? And I don't see it getting better anytime soon. So,
well, we're supposed to have the chief of the supply line was appointed by our president, and I'm pretty sure he's not doing anything either. So America's got a little bit of an issue going on right now, and
we're a couple weeks away from May, and we still got to go till the end of the year before we get new people in there. And are they going to be able to do anything about it?
It's going to be interesting, but the midterm elections that are happening in November should be a bellwether for what is going on in the United States and what the American public thinks. And so the interesting part is not which party's going to win, it's what are the voters, just in either party, what are they going to hold their elected officials accountable to? What is their expectations? What are they going to say to them? What do they want them to address? What do they not want them to address? And how are they being heard? Because I see this as a shift in party, but I also see that there are a lot of people that are on the Democrat side who are saying these people don't speak for me, and they're going to be looking for new candidates on the Democrat side.
The problem is, if you look at it on the national level, that both teams field extremely old players. There's no young people that are in politics that have enough traction to be recognized on a national level.
Right.
And so everything you're looking at is 80-year-olds that are...
Well, yeah, so did you see in the news recently that Dianne Feinstein, and I watch her because of her anti-gun stance and how she
not her Chinese communist driver who she had for 25 years and was not at all any kind of a security risk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So no, but about her anti-gun stance, but her staff is leaking to others that they are concerned about her, and yet they don't seem to control it from the inside out. They're hoping that someone else will control it for them. And so it's kind of watch that space and see what is happening. But to your point of the age, I mean, I don't know what her age is. Is she 80 or is she headed for older than 80? I don't know what age she is, but she's not looking so great. We'll just say.
The other thing is, you notice that, I mean, you were old enough to remember Saturday night specials were the thing that the Democrats were after. So they're these little pot metal guns, supposedly, and they tried everything. They dropped them, they smashed them, they heated them, they did everything, and found out that these little soft pot metal guns held up better than the good quality Colt Smith & Wesson guns on the market because they actually heat treated some of the good quality stuff.
Yeah, so they were much more flexible, and so they would hold up.
Right.
But so they had to then write legislation just based on the price, so that all that did was not take the guns off the market; it just raised the price.
From $35 to $55, so that they stayed in over that $50 range or whatever. So it was basically a tax on the poor at that point.
Right.
They've realized after the concealed carry laws of the 80s started going into place and everybody was getting pistols, that the pistol was a losing battle. We haven't seen anything about pistols in a long time. And so then they went to assault rifles, and then they went to assault weapons.
Right.
And now they've got away from all that with their new... Well, they went to smart guns, and that was a loser. So then they went to this ghost gun.
No, ghost guns is the big push, because even smart guns didn't, because all of us understood the computerized gun, is not the saving grace, because our cell phones are. Can you hear me now? So folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
Okay, you ask yourself, who is this Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition, and what do they do? Realize Firearms Awareness Coalition is a not-for-profit group based in Portage County, registered as a 501c3, and organized to educate about the historical intent of the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, to share knowledge, to enable citizens to accurately relate and defend aspects of the U.S. Constitution, to enhance public awareness and support for responsible gun ownership, and to emphasize firearms education for women who facilitate the transmittal of constitutional awareness and gun ownership to succeeding generations. How do they intend to do that? By talking to you all and having you talk back, by hosting educational summits and events. So tune in, listen, and participate. Realize FAC